So, you finally decided that you want to subdivide your property. That's great, but now you have two options to get it done, either the simple subdivision pathway or the complex subdivision pathway. Now, if you're like me, you like to keep things as simple as possible and move things along as fast as possible. Fortunately, there is a simple strategy to figure out whether your property qualifies for the simple subdivision pathway. All you have to do is to figure out 3 key pieces of information that affect your property. Once you have all 3 pieces of information, figuring out which pathway your property would have to go through should be really easy. I call this the triple S assessment. And if you have all the information in front of you, you can do this quick assessment all by yourself in just a few minutes. Better yet, if you stick around till the end of the presentation, I will introduce you to a very useful tool you can use to do most of the processes for you. But more about that later. Now, let's focus on assessing your property. Step 1 will be to assess your property against the first of the 3 S's, which stands for the setting, or the surrounding area. For your property to qualify for subdivision, it 100% has to be in the right neighborhood. One of the fastest ways to know if subdivision is possible on your property is to find proven examples of properties that have recently undergone the same process. In your neighborhood, the closer these properties are to your property, the more likely it is that your property can benefit from the same process that created those subdivisions. The rule of thumb here is, it's easier to subdivide land if what you end up creating matches what's already been approved in the neighborhood. When it comes to subdivision, my little mantra is, to play in the game, do more of the same. Mimic what's already working. Don't try and introduce something new. Otherwise, you'll end up painting a target on your back and getting yourself into a whole lot of unnecessary strife and trouble. Next, you'll need to refine your assessment by using the second S of the triple S assessment strategy. With this one, you'll need to be sure you are comparing apples with apples and not setting yourself up for failure by comparing properties with different characteristics. So when you get to this step, you will now need to more closely focus on the property by determining the specific controls that apply to that particular property. Now, the fastest way to do this without getting too overwhelmed by the complicated terms is to figure out what the specific controls or specific policies are that apply to the properties that you identified in step 1, and see if the same policies apply to your property. If they do, then that's usually a great sign because, well, if they could do it, then so should you. I don't want you to get bogged down on the finer details. So, at the end of the presentation, I'm going to give you access to a tool that will allow you to punch in your property's details and quickly view and download all the policies that apply to your property. So you can easily compare the policies that govern your property with the policies that govern the neighboring examples that you found in step 1. Now, in step 3, we will need you to go even deeper, looking at your property in detail so we can figure out the last S in the triple S assessment strategy. And the last S stands for scale. Now, it's all well and good seeing that there are many examples of properties that have been recently subdivided in your area, and finding out that the specific policies that apply to them also apply to your property. But if your property isn't big enough to be subdivided and have the capacity for another house to be built on it in the future, well, then everything we've done so far won't even matter, and there won't be any point in going ahead or paying a bunch of consultants a ton load of money to prepare the complex documentation and the detailed plans that you would need to lodge with your local council as part of an official application to subdivide your land. The term big enough is a relative term, and we don't want you going out and making a big, potentially expensive decision without being sure of how big your land actually needs to be for it to qualify for subdivision. Now, when it comes to property subdivision, the rule of thumb is the bigger your property is, the better. But what if you don't have acres and acres of land? What if your property is relatively small? Well, lucky for you, there is a golden number. If your property can achieve it, then it's got a way better chance of being approved for a subdivision. And the number starts with the number 6. Do you want to take a guess? Well, you won't have to, because I'm just going to tell it to you. The number is 600. More specifically, 600 square meters. That's what you would need at a bare minimum in most scenarios to be able to cleanly subdivide your property into 2. But nothing is ever really that simple, is it? Especially if you intend to keep the existing buildings that are already constructed on your site. Why? Because the scale of the house that currently sits on your property and where the house is actually located could make it impossible to subdivide the property without knocking down either part of the house or removing the whole house altogether. So with this step, each property will have to be assessed on a case-by-case basis. If the property is bigger than 600 square meters, then it gets a big green tick. If the house on the site isn't too big or isn't too far from the front fence, then it gets a second big tick because it would have successfully cleared the two major hurdles that could sink any hopes of subdivision, meaning your property would still have a fighting chance at getting subdivided. If you get to this stage and your property still stacks up, then you can have the confidence to boldly move ahead with your intentions to subdivide your property. So to summarize, you start by looking at a large enough chunk of the neighborhood immediately surrounding your property to find examples of properties that have recently been subdivided. Next, you move to checking the specific controls that apply to these comparable properties, the comps, to make sure that they match the policies that apply to your property. Lastly, you then check to make sure that the size of the property and the situation on the site allows you to cleanly subdivide the land so that it can be able to one day contain a new house. If your property ticks all these boxes, then you can be confident enough to go ahead and apply to subdivide your land. Now, what you've just learned are the first 3 steps of a more detailed 7-step due diligence assessment strategy. These 7 strategies are my customized version of the same strategies that are used by the big property gurus out there every time they're looking at purchasing property. How do I know this? Because I do this for them every day. Using these very same strategies, I've been refining these strategies so that they're not only simple, but fast and effective. And now, since you're thinking of subdividing your property, I'm giving you the opportunity to take all 7 of my strategies and use them to assess your property's potential. Now, with 3 strategies I've already shared with you, your assessment should have an accuracy of at least 50 to 60%, which means in the short time you've been learning from me, you now have the framework of a skill set that makes you way better at picking out hot properties with the most potential, better than the average Joe who's going out there and practically buying blind. But you don't have to settle for an accuracy of just 50 to 60%. You could raise yourself to expert level and bring the accuracy of your assessments to the golden zone of between 90 and 97% accuracy. And you can do that by learning and implementing the remaining 4 steps of the 7-step formula. So you can thoroughly dissect every aspect of your property and refine the accuracy of your assessments to above 97%. Now let me ask you a question. How much do you think you would have to pay to get an expert to come out to your property and do the entire process for you? While you're thinking about that, what if you ended up calling them out to 2, 3, 4 or more properties? How much do you think the total bill would be at that stage? It would quickly add up, wouldn't it? Now, once you're able to do exactly what they can do, can you imagine how much money this new skill set will be able to save you? And once you've done it once, you'll be able to do it multiple times, and maybe take this up to a whole nother level and take it up professionally. Imagine how good it would feel to confidently walk onto any property and within minutes figure out whether you have a winner on your hands. Not only that, once you have developed a reputation for finding amazing winners, it's likely that you're going to attract a whole different crowd to you, because it's likely some big names and prospective home buyers may start seeing your skill set as a very valuable asset. Imagine how much they'll be willing to pay for you to do this exact same process for them. Imagine the numerous ways that having such an edge over the average property owner and prospective home buyer could benefit you directly and indirectly. All because you learned a few steps of a super simple strategy. And all you need to do to get the remaining 4 strategies is to follow the link below this video to get access to all 7 of my 7-step due diligence assessment strategies. And as promised, since you've made it all the way to the end of this video, I'm now certain that you are ready to subdivide your property. So if you grab a copy of the 7-step due diligence assessment strategies today, I'm also going to give you access to some really valuable extra bonuses, all of which are guaranteed to make the whole process way faster for you. Firstly, you'll get access to a step-by-step video walkthrough of a live example. This video will show you the entire step-by-step process that I go through and all the nuances that I use to quickly and efficiently confirm the true potential of a site. That's you basically getting the opportunity to look over the shoulder of an expert as I use all 7 strategies to find a winning property for a real client. How valuable do you think that skill set, that lesson will be for you? And you get the opportunity to access that in-depth training here today. And you won't only get access to this. If you act fast, on top of the 7-step strategies that you're going to get, and the live step-by-step walkthrough video that I'm going to show you, the first 15 early birds to get this entire package today won't only get access to this. If you act fast and are one of the first 15 to get this today, I will also be giving you another amazing early bird bonus. I will give you limited access to the full suite of software and resources that I use in assessing multiple properties every day. These specialized tools and resources make the whole process of getting confirmation much faster with a very high percentage of accuracy. We're talking 97% accuracy and above. Using these tools will make quick work of each assessment you make, no matter where the property is located. And as an ultimate bonus, not only will you get the 7-step assessment strategy and the live walkthrough video and access to all the tools that I use to assess property, how about I top it off by giving you limited access to my insider bulletin, where every week I walk through some live real estate listings to show you how quickly and efficiently to pick out only those properties that are ready for subdivision. Now, my inner circle members regularly pay a yearly subscription to get access to this information. But as a special welcome bonus for you, you get all this along with the full suite of tools and strategies I have shown you today. So, for being here today, this is everything that you're going to get. You're going to get the 7 due diligence assessment strategies. You're also going to get access to my entire suite of tools and resources. You're also going to get access to my step-by-step over-the-shoulder video walkthrough of a live case study. And you're going to get exclusive access to my insider bulletin of subdivision-ready properties. All that just because of being part of this presentation. So what are you waiting for? Click on the link below this video and get the entire package today, and I will see you on the other side.